Hi guys. So this is a part of what I call corporealism, regarding like taking care of the body and staying fit. And these are like 8 different stretches that are really fundamental to my routine. And so I thought I would pass them off to you. I'm sort of mostly doing this as a way of like getting used to making videos, and so I plan on re-recording these in the near future. And since I've actually done the same routine 2 times in the last 2 days, only to find out that I wasn't in fact recording, I'm sort of repeating that same routine, and I'm not going to really put all of my energy into it. I just want to like make sure that I actually am recording. So you're going to see me go through 8 of these different stretching exercises, and they're all active stretching exercises. That's important because you won't see me like holding a stretch or anything. We're really doing this as a way of warming up for any physical activity like running or strength training. It's a great way of keeping the lower back and lower extremities like nice and free. And as I always say, I don't know the science behind any of this. I don't really know how it works, but I do know that it works, and that I've been using this for honestly more than a decade, like a routine similar to this. And I sort of pieced a lot of this together from physical therapists who I've been lucky enough to know, but also by researching on my own and watching a lot of videos and sort of trying to like ultimately protect myself like from any bad habits or injuries. And it's worked out really well. So I just want to pass this on, and I'm going to write all of this on the description part of the video so that it's really clear. I realize now that holding this up, it's actually backwards on the video. So there's, I begin with 0, which is a preliminary little routine I'll do real quick, and then I'm going to give you a hand signal for each of these 7 different stretching exercises for the midsection and glutes and hip flexors and things like that. So the preliminary ones are a cat crawl and a cat call, as well as a few hip thrusts, and I'm sort of like getting myself mentally ready. And then I lay on my back and I'll do these 7 different exercising, stretching routines. So I sort of sometimes spend a lot of time sort of doing those little warm-ups just to get myself like feeling like grounded and in place. And then I usually do like 8 of these different hip thrusts just to like sort of activate my hips. This is all just sort of like preliminary, but it's a really good way of just sort of getting the hip flexors warmed up. And I like to do a thing where I'm sort of like also grounding my mind into my body and sort of putting on my game face, if that makes sense. It's sort of like getting myself like physically here. And especially if I've been, sitting down for a lot of my day or doing other things, it's a really good way to get my knees bent and get myself grounded. And then I sort of go into a glute-bridge activation sequence that is really pretty loose, but I'm really just getting this glute-bridge really solid. And you'll see I'm just keeping my knees bent at an angle, and I do some like this where I'm going to one side or the other, and you really just want to feel that stretch. Like over time you want to feel that as like a power base for a lot of things that you do. So it's really important that sort of all these stretching routines begin with that. And again, these are the 0s, the preliminary stuff. And I also do ones like with one leg at a time, where I have one leg up, because that's really good for activating like the glutes. Because when you have to do one side and only use one side, you use a lot more of your muscle to concentrate, like where you want to concentrate. And so those are all really great. But what we're trying to get to are these next 3. This is the first one, and there's 3 of these. And this first one is where you bring your heels to your butt and create a really tight space, and you have your arms down flat. And then what you're going to do is tilt from one side to the next on your heels, and you'll do about 10 of these. And you're really just doing this as like a base stretch to make sure that you're not going to hurt yourself effectively. So I'm a little bit nervous, so I'm sort of constantly checking to make sure that I'm recording. So yeah, that's the first one. And again, you put your heels up to your butt, and then you're really just rotating at the hip, but you're not really letting your hip move. You want to keep your navel pressed into the floor as much as you can, and you want to keep your hands down for all of these flat on the floor. And so the second one is, or that was the second one, the heel to butt is the second one. The third one is you have your legs at a 45-degree angle, and this is the second of the three important ones, and you're going to go from side to side, and you're effectively stretching out your hip flexors, like so. And I don't know the science behind this stuff, but I swear to God, you start feeling really good, especially once you hear your back crack a little bit, and you realize that there's a lot of things going on in here that we really don't like loosen up or really like effectively learn how to manage over time. But these little exercises as stretches, active stretches, again, I'm never holding anything, I'm going back and forth, but these things really pay off in the long run. And so then the number 4 of all of these, number 4, and the third and most important of these 3 hip stretches is, the last one was at a 45-degree angle, but this one is at a 90-degree angle, so your legs are just straight up. And again, you have your hands flat on the floor, but you're going to bring your leg all the way to one side, perfectly straight, and all the way to the other side. And try not to let your feet go in or anything like that, because the trick is really that you have them at a straight angle. And you do about 10 for each side, just going back and forth. And again, I've already done this routine 2 times and it wasn't recording, so I've been extremely frustrated. So I'm really just trying to get this stuff down, get it recorded, and keep it clear and crisp. And so, like I stressed, that one, number 4, the 90-degree one that we just did, where you're moving your legs straight up, I swear to God, that is the thing that ultimately keeps your hips and your lower back like really, really solid. And that's really fundamental ultimately to everything, including reading and thinking and being in the world. And so then number 5 of all of these is one that is we're getting up after doing that. So this is number 5, and it's almost like a burpee, but not at all a burpee. But what you're doing is you're going at a angle with your feet on the floor, and then you're walking in baby steps all the way and keeping your feet flat, and then jump back. And then you walk in baby steps. I love these. And your feet are flat, and then you jump back. And then you baby step in. And it's all about that baby step, because that's what really activates your calves and lower hips. And so I would do like 10 to 12 of those. You're not trying to like turn it into an exercise so much as it is an activating pre-exercise. You don't want to make any of this like a workout routine. It's really just like a way of getting yourself to the point where you can have a routine. And again, I'm not doing all of them. I'm only doing like 3 or 4, but I would do like 10 to 12 of those. And then the inner thigh one, which is number 6, is something that you can do as like a lunge, where you're going into a lunge and then keeping your other leg completely straight. But what I do is doing it like sort of sitting down, where I'm pulling my leg in like this. And what you're doing is trying to stretch out that inner thigh by leaning into it, but you're also like stretching out that knee, letting it go over your toe, letting it function so that it pulls at your calf. I find that those things are really instrumental if you run a lot. And again, I run like twice a week, long distances, or relatively long distances. But these keep me really, really like grounded. It doesn't have to be anything like super fancy or anything. And then the 7th of these is really to keep the hip socket feeling really solid. And so what I do is I put one hand over my head, and I have the alternate leg up, and then I'm moving on the side plane, side to side. And I'm also doing that with the other side. And I do this a lot more intensely when I'm doing it regularly, but these are really just to show you. Even if you can't see my head the whole time. Again, this is just like an experiment to sort of see if I can actually get this recorded, you know. But the last thing that I also do a lot of are these little exercises where you're going like this, where you're moving your hip out and then kicking out, like sort of like at an angle, pull it out and then kick it out. Like you do a lot of those for each side. And I do like 3 sets for each side, like 10 each, and my adductors are completely like fired, like by the end of that. And then another one that I do a lot of are kickbacks, which are really great for the glutes. I do like 10 at a time and hold them and go in slow, and these are all exercises that you can do without weights. They're just free weights. And I think I'll also try to record more of my lower body workout. But one thing that is really great too is like a active stretching routine for the hamstrings is to do the alternate leg, I guess they're RDLs sort of, but you just want to do them in the way that you can balance your body, like side to side, but you can also like have something to hold on to if you need to. But I find that it's just a really good way of stretching before a leg workout, because again, you don't want to do passive stretching or easy stretching. You really want to make sure that you are doing the right thing so that you don't injure yourself and you're getting ready. It's not a workout in itself, but if you do this once a week, it'll allow you to really never have the kind of back problems that you probably would have, especially if you're training a lot. And I have like genetic conditions, so I've always had to be mindful of everything I do, like in the gym and outside of the gym. And I think that this is instrumental in that physical mindfulness. So peace out. Thank you.